How's it going, guys? Mr. Hilton here, and today we've got a very special video. Because I recently got to sit down with the big man himself, Big Dan Gaming, and discuss some theories about Mass Effect 4 and just, generally talk shop. But before that, remember to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you want to support me in my content creation endeavor, you could always become a member. And a huge thank you to my NSVEN veteran members. I really do appreciate your support. Alright, so just before we start, I gotta give you guys a heads up because my camera died halfway through the interview. So if my camera quality dropped, well, that's the reason. I also want to say a huge thank you to Dan for being such an awesome guy. He is really one of the coolest people that I've talked to in a long time. And that's saying something. And don't forget to watch the part 2 of this interview when Dan uploads it to his channel, because we had to split this into 2 parts because the interview was so long. Anyway, without further ado, let's start the video off with Dan talking about his thoughts on Mass Effect Andromeda. Let's do a kind of monologue here, but alright, so after a year of speculating, let's check out some of the more popular ones. I have, made some videos about them, and you have made a few. So let's start from the beginning with the teaser, because that's the first thing we got. So panning over from the one galaxy to the other, do you think we're leaving Andromeda behind completely, or do you think there is some stuff that we're going to keep to the next game?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, there's what I think they're going to do versus what I think they should do. I think they should ditch Andromeda entirely. I think they should kind of cut their losses on that galaxy, and kind of wash their hands from that game.
All right.
That's what I would prefer to see them do, but I don't think that's what they're going to do. So I don't know to what extent they're going to tie Andromeda in, but there's an old saying in like storytelling or writing. It's like, don't show a gun if you're not planning to use it in the scene. And so it's like, why would they show the Andromeda galaxy in the teaser if there's not going to be some type of tie-in?
Sure.
Obviously, I guess they could be really early in story content, and maybe they rework the story and cut that stuff out. But I just think they've dropped a few hints here and there that suggest we're going to see some sort of tie into Andromeda, whether it's we actually still play there or there's some communication between the two galaxies or something else. I guess we'll see where they go with it, but I think they will tie it in some way.
A little bit, but you'd like it to be like completely ditched. Is that it?
Yeah, I think it would be better if they just had it as like one of those side games in the franchise. Like, oh, this is like we tried something completely different, and this is that story, and maybe they could continue it in a future game. But I think what a lot of fans want to see is something that picks up very quickly after the end of Mass Effect 3, or like continues that. So I think if they're going to tie in Andromeda, then they're basically stuck unless they're going to have like some sort of like time spanning game that like covers centuries apart, which maybe they could do. Maybe they could pull that off. But I think a lot of people want to see what happens in the immediate aftermath of Mass Effect 3. And so that's going to be a challenge if they decide, hey, we're going to set the story 600 years in the future.
Yeah. I agree. There are some things about Andromeda that I think that they should keep, but it's not about the story. It's just about the combat. Yeah. The combat was pretty good.
Yes.
But other than that, I can't really remember much about the story. The characters were pretty bland, cringy.
Yeah.
When we zoom in, we hear a lot of different events. Do you think these sound bites that we hear in the background could like make up a sort of a canon timeline? As an example is when Liara's voice faintly says, "You're not leaving me behind." And I was thinking, maybe is she, possibly the canon romance, or are they just going to ditch the canon stuff of, romancing people entirely?
Yeah, that's real tricky. Because if they do choose someone, that's going to it'll the people who romance that particular character will love it, but anybody else who had a different romance they like will absolutely hate it. So I think they've got to walk a tight line there in terms of referencing any of Shepard's romances. I hope they don't make Liara a canon romance. I mean, I like the Liara romance, but I don't want to see it canonized. I want to see uh, that kind of left open ended. So um, it would be cool if they could somehow carry your decisions over from the previous games, but
Whoa.
that'd probably be even more of a technical nightmare.
What do you think about the shepherd's child thing? Because you made a video about it,
Oh
I think, and
man,
I covered it after
yeah.
you.
I think I mentioned it in a video. I don't know. That could also get weird. It's like, because then if Liara is not the canon romance, it's like, how she like steal his DNA? I mean, I know how Asari reproduction works, but like that's a little
Yeah,
creepy,
yeah,
Liara.
yeah, 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 yeah. That's borderline rape.
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
whoa, okay, that's gonna be
Yeah,
very offensive to people. I'm
exactly. Yeah,
offended, and
that's
I
like
love Liara, but it's
yeah. I mean that's
um,
like the yeah, I don't know. It's so that could get strange too if they tie it in that way, like if you have an Asari that's Shepard's child. I don't know. It could be interesting, but again, it's just like I don't know. I don't like seeing it get canonized in that way. Look, they're walking a tightrope with this game. Like there's nothing that whatever they do, they're not going to be able to make everyone happy, but I think the more things that they try to canonize from the previous trilogy, you start to walk a slippery slope with all of
correct.
that. There's a lot of things that if they were to continue the story very quickly after 3 would kind of need to be addressed in some way, like, what happens to the Geth and Quarians? Like they would have to canonize something for that because you'd be like, this just happened. So what's the outcome? Like are the Quarians completely obliterated? Are the Geth completely obliterated? Like you would have to address it in some way. You might be able to skirt it, like if they start Mass Effect 4 shortly after 3, you might be able to skirt around the genophage issue because like maybe the effects of the cure haven't set in, but like was the genophage cured or not? And like what effects that going to have? So again, like some of the big decisions from Mass Effect 3, even if you don't want to choose a canon choice, it's hard to skirt around them because some of the choices had such huge impact on different races that you would have to address it in some way.
That's probably like the biggest problem for me is what you said there, like the genophage, because if they were cured of the genophage, like the Krogan, it would be like the Krogan rebellion once again, because we know what happened,
Yeah,
and they breed so quickly, so it'd be like over for everybody else.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
it's a huge
They build a
implication.
massive empire.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think we're pretty much on the same boat there. There's not much they could
Mm.
do. Possibly placing the game, as speculated, maybe at least like 600 years into the future. But still, we have the problem of the genophage. What are you gonna do? Because
Yeah. Yeah.
are we gonna have a Krogan rebellion part two? you
Yeah.
know, maybe that happened during the 600 years that they started calling the Krogan again. But then, what was the use of curing the genophage?
Yeah, exactly. Or maybe
Okay.
they yeah, they'll do some sort of like space genetics where like they altered it's like someone they did a project to alter all Krogan DNA so they don't reproduce as fast, but it's not
Yeah.
the genophage and the Krogan took part in it. I don't know.
Copy paste.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. The ice planet, right? Do you think it's a
Mm,
planet we've been to, or do you think that it's entirely new?
that is a good question. I got some messages over the past few weeks, right after they posted the like teaser poster or whatever on N7 Day, where everybody was talking about the Geth and the Geth return and all of that. And someone sent me an interesting message that kind of suggested it's like, what if Liara and or like whatever squad is on that planet was actually like looking for Legion? And it's like, where's the last place we had we saw Legion was on Rannoch.
Right.
And we only
Dude.
know like part of the climate of Rannoch. It's like I don't know what time of year we were there or what part of the planet we were on, but like what if Rannoch also has like harsh winters? And you could see the land they're walking on is kind of like a desert, desert clay climate. So what if it's Rannoch? Again, I don't know how many moons Rannoch has. Like people talked about, like, is this the same planet from the teaser trailer, which has like multiple moons in the background?
Yeah.
So I don't know, which that could be interesting. Like but I have no idea what implications could come from that.
Right.
So
Reviving Legion or, retrieving him, that would be so okay, what could that mean?
yeah, because that was the other thing someone mentioned from the trailer. It's like who else had like an N7 insignia? It's like
Yeah.
maybe Liara wasn't picking up Shepards. Maybe it was
The piece from the
Shepard's
chest.
this piece from his old suit that he had slotted in, that Legion had slotted into his own body.
Right. But wasn't that a helmet? Somebody said that it was a helmet. First, I said that it was like an insignia. I just thought it was like something that had fallen off, like from the chest. But then somebody said that it was actually a helmet, and I think it looks like a helmet.
Oh,
But I don't think you can actually see that if I can remember correctly. It just looks like a piece of armor that has fallen off with the N7 logo on it. So I don't really
yeah.
know.
Yeah,
Possibly.
it's unclear. It's unclear. And it's been a while since I've looked at the
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 teaser?
first trailer. Yeah. So we'll see. But other than that, I mean, it could also just be an entirely new planet. We have no idea. And we don't know what Liara is looking for either. So, but that was another thing I had thought of tying it into Rannoch was, you see Liara scaling a dead Reaper,
Two
and at the end
Reapers,
of
dude.
Priority Rannoch, we kill a Reaper. So I was like, is this the same one we kill? I mean, who knows?
Yeah, yeah. The thing is, you can see like the Reaper she's walking up, but that also there's a Reaper in the background that's hard to see because it's like snowy, so you can't really see the background. But you can see
Yeah.
that there's like an outline of the tentacles, I think. There we go. Whoa. Jesus. All right, let's go. Next question. So yeah, one of my first videos, or maybe not my first video, but I think one of my top 5 first videos, I talked about the possibility of Control being a canon ending. Do you think
Oh.
that you could incorporate like every ending? And if so, how would you make it work?
I think it would have to be some sort of like multiverse theory or something. That's kind of how I thought, where they could Bioware could basically say, well, all the endings are still viable, but this is like one permutation. Like this is one of the multiverses that we're going with. In terms of like how you would actually incorporate them all into the same story, I have no I have no idea how they would do that. What do you think? How do you think they would be able to do multiple endings as canon in the same story?
Well, I almost forgot my own video, but in that video, in one of those videos, I forgot to mention that there was one of my viewers who said that maybe synthesis, maybe if they're gonna like canonize every ending, it almost like needs to be set in like 600 or 1200 years into the future, because
Yeah.
if synthesis maybe didn't work but you still chose it, and the green thing that goes around your body, it just disappears because it didn't work at the
Yeah.
end. And then you could also have Shepard being like this Reaper overlord that just went away because he or she felt that she was like policing the galaxy too much, so it became sort of like
Yeah.
a regime. That could work. And then we have like Destroy being the third one, which would just
Mhm.
be, the Reapers are gone because you killed them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's like in any case, like the Reapers would be gone.
Right.
Uh and you could have, yeah, I think that could make sense. Like, yeah, because you can't project like what will change over the course of 600 years or 1,000 years.
Right.
And that would give them an angle where they could weave it together. That makes sense.
Right. I was thinking about that like the last day too. Like, could it possibly be that they don't even maybe choose destroy as the canon ending? What if they chose, either control or synthesis instead? That would be kind of insane if they went the complete other route than what people think. Because they
Yeah.
said or Shepard said that, when talking to the Catalyst. So the elusive man was right. Yes, but
Yeah.
he was not in control of us. We were in control of him. Was that
Mhm.
maybe a tease? Could that possibly have been, I don't know, maybe I'm stretching it, but I'd like it.
Yeah, yeah. I can see that. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if they went another route. Just also, it's funny because I feel like with Mass Effect 3, the developers really are like steering you in the direction of synthesis. Like I
Yeah.
feel like they wanted to see that as like the good ending or whatever. But it's not the one that people like.
Right, because it was the one ending where, or well, every ending was like the combination of Mac Walters and Casey Hudson's ideas. Because I read somewhere that they they just wrote the ending without asking everybody else, so they just
Yeah.
mashed their own ending together, and that was basically what made this whole shit show.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like very rushed and very forced.
Right.
Like they just kind of whipped it all together at the last minute. A lot of the people who were working on the game were completely shocked that
Yeah.
that was the direction it went in. Yeah, and I think even one of the storyboard developers who was talking about this had mentioned that like even like the red, green, blue was just something that they put just to kind of differentiate them on the storyboard. Like they didn't think that was going to actually be put into the
Oh
game.
no. God damn it. Imagine
Yeah.
being responsible for the idea. So kind of, blue, red, and green, but we're obviously gonna, we're
Yeah,
gonna
we'll change these later. Yeah, yeah.
and then just Casey and Mac just goes ahead. No, red, green, blue.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
over 20 different endings or whatever they said, something like
Yeah.
that. Anyway, all
There's
right.
literally millions of different permutations.
Yeah.
Yeah. He
There are
said that in an
endless
interview once.
endings, dude. Okay, so I'm not gonna keep this going for too long, but there are a few things I wanted to bring up. I think we've already brought some of them up. What do you think about the individuals that you see in the teaser and in the poster? Do you think the red one could possibly be Rex?
Yes, I hope. At least I hope so. Yeah, that would be really cool if it was. At first, I thought, when I first saw the poster, I thought maybe it was Drac, but then, zooming in on the armor, it's like, that's Rex's signature look.
Yeah,
So, obviously, depending on when, even if they set it hundreds of years in the future, it's possible that he could still be alive. So that would be cool. Um, I hope with the new game, I hope they have a mixture of like familiar characters from the original, but also try to create some new ones. But we'll see what they end up doing with it. One of the things I thought was interesting, and I think you might have pointed this out. I don't know if you mentioned it in a video or something, but you pointed out that it looks like on the poster that there's actually like 4 characters, so that maybe we're actually getting a bigger squad than the typical
oh yeah,
Shepherd plus 2. Might
yeah,
be like Shepherd plus 3 or
right.
main character plus 3. I thought that would be pretty interesting because then it'd be more like Dragon Age where you
Right.
have like a 4-person squad. Then again, I don't know. Maybe that's too bloated because I don't know how you play Mass Effect, but I typically only tell my squad mates to use their powers occasionally. I never like
Right.
direct them where to go or
Yeah, yeah,
anything
yeah.
like that. I just let them do whatever.
It would,
Garrus will run out into the open and get shot. Like
yeah, as usual. But
exactly.
yeah, they might like having 3 squad mates would probably be a bit overpowered.
Hmm.
Unless they have to lower the damage that you deal, but then every enemy becomes like this a
Bullet sponge.
bullet sponge, right? And I don't want that. I want to still
Yeah,
be able to like headshot enemies from far away and stuff.
exactly. Yeah,
So I don't
I.
know.
That's like the worst type of shooters where you have to unload like multiple clips into an enemy to kill them. Like that would be horrible.
horrible idea.
I don't
Like
want to see
the
Mass Effect become that.
no, true. That what was that game that's set in like a post-apocalyptic New York?
Oh God,
Oh
the
God,
the
memory.
the Division,
The
is it that?
Division.
Is that it? The Division,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, bullet spongy enemies are the worst.
yeah,
So yeah, part of me would like to have another squad mate just because it's so fun hearing them talk, but then it also introduces a lot more work because you have to have them
yeah.
bantering between each other.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. Interesting nonetheless. What do you think about the ship?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I thought the vehicle that they showed, like the little drop ship that was on the poster, that was kind of interesting.
Hmm?
It kind of reminded me of the Hammerhead, which I hated. So, I don't know. It's like it's so funny because BioWare is maybe they've gotten better at this, but they're typically so bad with vehicles and
Mm.
stuff. Like anything that's like you have to control, like even like the horses in Dragon Age Inquisition are like the worst horses I've ever used in a video game.
Oh
Like
man,
they're horrible.
I can't
They
remember.
steer horribly. Yeah, most people don't use them. And for good reason. Yeah, pop back in and try to use a horse and see and
I'll
let me know
try.
what you think of it.
I
It's
think I
terrible.
completed that entire game without riding a horse, to be honest, because I can't remember ever using one. So I was like, wait,
Yeah,
are there
yeah.
horses?
Yeah, I know. It's like you completely forget about it. I think there was like a side quest or something where you do like a horse race. And I remember doing that and I'm like, I'm never using a horse again. This was terrible. But
Horse from
yeah, so
Skyrim.
hopefully like I hope whatever they do with ships or drop ships, I hope they're fun to drive. I would say the Nomad was decent in Andromeda. Although did get like tired of like shifting gears constantly. It's like you'd be driving up like a small hill
Yeah.
and then it's like, oh, you got to shift to like the all-wheel drive now. It's like they should be able to drive up this hill. Like it's a
Yeah.
paved road.
Right.
Like so I don't know, but yeah, I would say they improved the Mako in Legendary Edition,
Could you
Mass Effect
feel
One.
anything different? I couldn't. I was like, oh, this is worse.
I felt like it steered easier. Like
Okay.
one of the things that I remember from the first game was like the steering was super sensitive. Like you'd
Mm.
touch the control and it would just go like flying off in
Yeah, right.
one direction. So I feel like they got the sensitivity and stuff a little better. Um, I don't know. So it'll be interesting to see what the new ships and drop ships and things that vehicles we use in the next game because they tend to, I imagine if they're going to craft a similar game to Andromeda where you have like big planets to explore or big maps to explore, that a vehicle will be useful, but I just hope it's not like a piece of shit like the Hammerhead.